Christ has ascended from earth to heaven. God bless you all. Thank you very much for joining us tonight for our Orthodox Youth Workers webinar, quarter number 2 webinar for the Year of the Youth. We're very pleased tonight. We had a little bit of a schedule change, but we're very happy to welcome to the webinar tonight Father Nicholas Anderchow, who is serving as now the Executive Director of Project Mexico. And I'm not sure what the exact title was, but essentially the main chaplain there at St. Innocent Orphanage for the last 10 years. So you're going to be talking with us, Father Nicholas, about the wonderful work that happens at Project Mexico and youth formation, which for those who aren't familiar with Project Mexico, maybe I can just share a little bit, not to steal any thunder, but there's actually kind of two side-by-side ministries that's involved with Project Mexico. One is the orphanage itself, where young boys who didn't really have a place in the childcare system of Mexico are able to find a home, an education, a family, and are being raised to be exceptional young men. And at the same time, there's the home building ministry, which is taking place at the same time in the local community, mostly Rosarita and Tijuana. And many of our young Orthodox Christians from North America, from United States and Canada, have come down to Mexico to participate in the home building ministry that's there as well. And so you guys get to do youth formation all the time, and then very precise kind of youth work with the visiting groups that come in usually during the summer. But I also participated in an OCF trip, and OCF trips were a regular part of that as well. I'm sure COVID has changed a lot for you down there, but let's focus on the good times as much as possible and remember the great joy that I'm sure you have. So, Father Nicholas, before we get into Project Mexico, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to this?
Sure. Yeah. Father David, thanks for having Project Mexico part of the many speaking engagements that you're having for these webinars. And I actually grew up in Worcester, Massachusetts, born and raised in the OCA parish. My father was a deacon. My mom converted from the Roman Catholic Church before I was born. And growing up, I received an undergraduate degree in restaurant management, just up the road from you a little bit, in Widener University outside of Philadelphia. I was cradle Orthodox, and I had an epiphany while serving the poor in the United States Peace Corps when I was young, which eventually led me to Project Mexico, because I said, if I'm ever going to serve the poor in that capacity as a young adult, I said to myself, it's only with the Orthodox Church. I was comforted at that time in the 90s. Orthodox Church does not do missions. We make pierogies, sell baklava. I'm never going back to the third world. Now, I was very, very encouraged that Project Mexico called me up, and I was able to find a place to focus my zeal to help out the needy within an Orthodox setting. So with that was back in 1995, 96. I actually met my wife, and we got married. And then I went to seminary. I actually formed me to become a priest. I attended St. Vladimir's, at a parish for 10 years, and now as the priest, as Project Mexico, the associate director for 10 years, and now recently the executive director. They have asked me to serve the organization, and who knows for how much longer, probably at least another decade or so, God willing, but the Lord knows. And with this, my desire to serve the Lord and lead parish life was motivated with the magnetism. Is that great? Is that a word? Magnetism of the ministry. And it's like it's a magnet for young people. Okay, that's why I left my parish, because I'm like grandpa. Okay, turning 51 this year. Yes, I've confessed it. Okay, and everyone's so young because they love it. They're alive when they serve the poor. when they swing the hammer, they realize that this is the gospel. And so that's why we left the parish. That's why we've been south of the border for over a decade now, and it looks like it's going to be somewhat longer now. So that's my background. That's how I ended up here, and that's what we're going to talk about today. More so about the ministry and the details.
I bet you found that restaurant management education has actually come in to be profoundly useful as a priest.
Oh yeah, all those little dinner fundraisers that I've done, which actually is good. That's ministry too, though. By the way, okay. Remember to make excuses. Oh no, everything's ministry. But I've cooked a lot, and it has come in handy quite a few times. Yeah, so it's kind of neat. Yeah, neat.
That's wonderful. So tonight we're just kind of freestyling. So we'll let you lead us through your story, the story of Project Mexico, and share with us your insights as a full-time youth formationist, youth minister.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, no formation of youth. I appreciate all those in the vineyard. And this is what this webinar is for, is those people who are stretching themselves. And it's ministry. You were talking about ministry. Trying to educate teenagers, little people, sometimes they're obedient, but they will call you out so quickly if they think that you're not being honest, or you're kind of like you don't really believe what you're saying. They'll get so bored, and that's good for us. It's not that easy, but it's good for us as believers in the Lord to see what's motivating us, how genuine are our beliefs, and also challenge. Because when we're serving those little ones, they are going to expect that we're not going to waste the time. They're going to expect that the times we have with them at Sunday school or for the weekend retreat or different activity or going down to Project Mexico, that it's something that's worthwhile, okay, for their existence in the world. What I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share my screen, okay, and I'm going to do a little presentation. I'm going to keep my presentation. Now that I've been talking for a little bit, 30, 35 minutes. And so at least 10, 15 minutes for questions. Okay. And probably that's probably the best bet. Okay. And when people have questions, I guess put them in the chat. Is that the way to do it? How do you usually handle this, Father David? If people have questions, how will they do that exactly?
So chat is okay, but there is also a Q&A component there. If you press the Q&A button, you can put in a question, then it kind of like sits there so we can get to it and it doesn't disappear until we mark it off as answered. So that's the better way of doing it, but you can also do it through chat.
Okay, so if you can kind of manage the Q&A aspect, can you do that, or do I have to do that?
Gotcha.
Okay. Zoom. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, it's great. So I'm going to share my screen, and this is what what I've learned to do is share the word, because we're trying to keep things open south of the border. We do that through people coming, volunteering. Like I was on the phone today with a young adult, and it's like, hey, come down. Are you available? Drop what you're doing and need for a month and a half in Tijuana to take care of some orphan boys. All right. And I call her dad. Hey, I need some donations too. So you're going to get the spiel of what I try to do, convince people that it's worth their time to participate in Project Mexico and the St. Innocent Orphanage. Not only worth their time, they'll actually come out. They'll come out with not the short end of the stick. They'll come out with more than what they gave. Okay, for sure. We do St. Innocent Orphanage, Project Mexico, changing lives through the church. And that's very important. The church, the Christian church, Orthodox church, and We've been doing this because we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to cross the border. Okay. This is the largest border crossing in the world. Now I'm saying 100, like during pre-COVID, even now, over 100,000 people cross every day. Over 100,000 people cross every day. Incredible. And but you have America, which is the new Rome, okay? And I put that kind of like me labeling it. But man, we're incredible in America. What we have here. People want to come here. Then you have Mexico, third world country. And I describe it as a third world country because it's underdeveloped. And the average person makes about $100 a week. Yeah. Okay. And they're doing all right. And that's why people are rushing to Tijuana to make $100 a week. Okay. It's like, okay, let's go to Tijuana. We can make some good money. We'll send it down to our family in Chiapas. Okay. Because we're going to make $100 a week. Whoa. Okay. That's Mexico. This is the opportunity we have to share our blessings. And we're taking advantage of this opportunity. Live in the gospel, Psalm 82. Look that. I'm not going to give it. I'm going to leave you with this, everybody. Unless, Father, do you know where we use this? I didn't know it until I did this presentation. Maybe you do. Do you know where we use Psalm 82 and liturgically? You're muted, by the way. I didn't know it, but I fell upon it later on.
I'll probably recognize it when you tell me.
Okay. It's in Holy Saturday. Okay. When we say, arise, O God, and judge the earth, you shall take all nations to your inheritance. Okay. Leaves everywhere. Okay. It's great. It's beautiful. That's Psalm 82, but it also talks about taking care of orphans and the justice behind that. Beautiful. And how actually, beautiful Psalm. It's only about 7 verses. And how we are called to be divine in a similar way that God is divine. We are called to be gods, but we die as mortal men. Don't die as mortal men. We can live forever. And Psalm 82 affirms it. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. We ascend as Orthodox Christians. And so through this, we respond to this unique opportunity. Project Mexico has been going for a while. A Romanian man, Greg Yoba, decided to start building homes south of the border and bring them across youth. They said Orthodox youth need a place to serve and live the gospel. In 87, it was a thought of theirs, very ambitious. And they've done so many things. That's you might recognize that person right there. Who is that person standing next to the taller person? That's Father Nicholas. When as someone says, Father, did you get bald? I'm like, hey, I live here. Okay. And that was Father Nicholas back in 1995, 96. That's what I started to do. I went there as a youth. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. That was when I went there as a youth to actually live and work on their business. I was a business consultant for them. I ran their pig farm. And they put out the fishing rod. I grabbed and they had me for 3 years as a young adult. The blessing of this, we're endorsed by all the bishops in America through the Canonical Assembly of Bishops. And this is important because we are part of the church, our Intimensians, because we have a chapel is given to us by the Antiochian Church in Mexico City. And as an organization that is a 501c3 in San Diego, California, we are endorsed by all the bishops in the United States. And so through this is the Archbishop who heads the Assembly of Bishops. And actually, that's my bishop because I'm on loan from the Greek Archdiocese to south of the border. And so through this, 15,000 Orthodox Christians have come. We've built more than 400 homes over the years. And it's definitely a ministry that's been busy, very productive, and very ambitious. With this in mind, you might say, why help? Okay. Now, unfortunately, there's a video here, and we're gonna just gonna watch and you're gonna look. I'll try to give some input, but it's about the different ministries and why young adult made this a few years ago. Did anyone hear that or no? Okay, so that's life. All right. This shows us trying to make a difference. That is the home. Can you hear me? Okay, you can hear me. Great. Okay, you can hear me. These are the boys. That's the orphanage. It used to be a horse ranch. It is beautiful. And with this orphanage, we raise boys starting from 5 years old. Some of them, they are as old as like 18, 19 because we've got them in college now. It's great. They're a handful. And this is one of three parts of our ministry. They're cute. And we get them from Tijuana, from the government. They've been rescued from the streets or from their own parents. We look at this. This is the average neighborhood in Tijuana. And people just patch it all together so they can have somewhat of a place to call home while they work 6 days a week, by the way. We go 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. Okay? 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, making $100 a week. And a lot of them, like, their houses are pretty tough. These are the families, beautiful families. They squeeze into these homes and they're accustomed. And so it's always funny. If you come down, you realize, wow, like the boys, well, no, the families have it a little rough sometimes. But you know what? I'm kind of roughing it too. I'm going to sleep in a tent for 5 days. Oh, 6 days. Imagine that. 6 days sleeping in a tent. And with that, you work hard every day. You sleep in a tent, you work hard. That's the first day. You pour the concrete, you mix it by hand. It's a beautiful experience. Now we use metal girders, okay? But the same process entails you have to assemble the girders, frame the house, but you do it with your own hands. And it's so encouraging for the Mexican families because they feel the true solidarity with those people who give. And those are the houses that we build. Our design is a little different now. We've kind of upgraded a little bit, but that's what they receive. And they're ecstatic. They're filled with tears. And they feel the gospel being lived. And so with this, yeah, so many people participate and they learn by doing. They learn by doing. And then we scratch at their soul so it can be open to the Lord. That's you can find that video on our YouTube channel. And so you'd actually hear the music behind it. Okay. What we try to do, we try to give people the opportunity in 4 days of work. It's 4 days of work, 1 day of worship, and 2 days of travel, more or less. Okay, so it's 7-day experience. People come out, build the floor. Now we have metal girders, like I mentioned. We build the walls. We make sure that it has a good solid house, good solid roof. When we stucco, everything is done by hand. We have virtually only power tools. What we do have is actually to drill in the metal girders. That's the only power tools. So you actually get to learn. If you don't know, you'll learn how to use a power drill pretty well by the end of the week. But the very important part of all this is that it's not a social service agency. We are the church alive. Okay. If it wasn't, I would not be here. I actually did that. I actually served in the Peace Corps, and it was great. But my goal is to serve something bigger, which is God, which is the Lord. We do this here south of the border. We focus every morning. We have small talks. We have a larger talk once during the week. We have reflection times, so people understand it. And on Sunday, they brings it all together through the Eucharist. And on Saturday night, the opportunity to confess your sins, because what happens oftentimes that people say, wow, this is giving me a perspective of myself. And I need to maybe evaluate who I am. And we have times for people to confess on Saturday nights and do give to them the resources of the church. And in the end, the families receive a home. We bless it. And we have some great memories of those 7 days for each family, and also the participants. With this, as the toughest job you ever love, it's a quote from the Peace Corps. That used to be the motto. They don't use that anymore. And it is like caring for kids, the orphans. Now it's brutal with the reality of the immigration coming up. It's been very challenging for all these minors at the border. We have our work cut out for us, to say the least. They're so vulnerable. And a lot of them, like actually, most of them have been on the streets once we receive them. And we try to give them an environment that's healthy, that's secure, where they can heal. And so that this crazy cycle that they were kind of thrown into can stop. And one way we do this is that we have fun with them. So this is a little video. You can't hear it, but you'll see it. It's fun. It's one little video. Okay. It's a bit of all is music. It's no talking. Okay. So here we are. I assume you can't hear this. Can you hear this or no? A little bit? Okay. All right. This is south of the border. Okay. So it sounds like you can't hear it a little bit.
I can't hear it now, but I did at first.
Okay, good. Okay. So what we do, piñatas, it's pretty exciting in Mexico. That's kind of dangerous, by the way. Okay, but we're Project Mexico. We're used to danger. Okay, but they have so much fun. You know, the boys have so much energy, and they just try to be kids. Yeah, and it's great. It really is, because we have a chapel also, okay, and then we have morning prayers, evening prayers, and they come in and they're just little children. And so my sermons over the past 10 years have definitely been called to be more charismatic. If not, I'll lose them immediately, okay, because they're just kids. And so here at the orphanage, we try to let them be just children. So do different birthdays and things like that, or our big event or different events that we have. We always try to bring out a piñata. And so we actually, one year we did a piñata we did piñata for Pascha this past year. And it was Thanos, okay? We had a piñata of Thanos. Like Thanos is from the Avengers. Why Thanos, Father? Because we're killing death. Because Thanos means death. That was my idea. But, you know, it was kind of cool. So we kind of told them, and they killed it, and killed death, because that's what Pascha does. Pascha kills death. And so it was neat. We have fun with the boys. We educate them. We feed them well. That's the garden right now. For their opinion, they eat way too many vegetables. Okay. But we keep feeding them zucchini, Swiss chard, broccoli, Christmas right there, that we truly do. We try to make it special for them, and so they can have a safe, healthy place to grow up. And we try to change their lives. It's all found in our Christ. This next video, which you can't hear, but I'm going to walk you through it. I assume you can't hear it. It's a young man who grew up at the orphanage. And he actually he's on his third year at Hellenic College in Boston. Got a scholarship for him. And he arrived when he was 5. And he wants to be a leader in the church. And we're giving you the opportunity to do this. You see him right there. He's over all the second to the right. Your viewership, second to the right. He's that he grew up here, little kid. And he never met, he doesn't know his parents, okay, because he doesn't have any memory of them. His home is the orphanage. And he's grateful. And he says here, like he's grateful for God. It's, I'm a Patriots fan, by the way. I'm from Worcester. And so he was one of my great altar boys. I miss him a lot. Now he's in Boston. He's serving. And he's able to have these excellent memories of a healthy childhood. Okay. All right. Yeah, obviously, growing up on the streets, they're going to have some other memories. But now the majority of his life are solid stamps of how life should be: safe, loving, and being centered with God in his life. He's done excellent. We did excellent in Hillel College in Boston. He's been overcome a lot of challenges. English is his second language, and he's completed his coursework excellently. This is what we do. They arrive to us, and we try to raise them so that not only when they turn 18, but even after, they can actually be Orthodox Christians who live for the Lord. And he's seeing right now, he's giving advice. Beautiful. He says, no matter what happens to you, you can overcome the difficulties. That's his advice. Okay. And that's saying a lot. He's been through a lot. Okay. So that's Alejandro. He's done some beautiful things. And with this, people are transformed. This is actually the youth. Okay. Every summer, we bring down 10, 15, 20 young adults to be interns. This summer, what we've done, we've actually sent them through the United States to serve. And they are vehicles for other people to learn about the ministry and how it is transformational for a group of 10, 15 people to come down to America. They actually spend the whole summer getting zero money and working long hours every day, and their lives are transformed. This couple actually came down as volunteers. They met each other, they got married, they had their first child, and that's to the first two to the left. Okay, first child in Mexico. Now they finished Hellenic College and they're serving as a pastoral assistant. With this is actually a young man who actually I'm gonna play this one. See if okay, I'll walk through this. Can you hear this at all or no? Okay. Here's the home building coordinator. Okay. He did great. Okay. He was from Seattle, Washington, a soccer player, and he would come down every summer to build homes in Tijuana. When he finished college, he says, I will serve for 2 years as the home building coordinator. So he didn't get a high paying job. He lived down in one of our apartments, and he got to know the boys. He got to know what it was like living in a third world conditions. And he spent his time helping out the needy and knowing what it meant to live the gospel. Okay. He would mention that, okay, a lot of his friends would, spend time together in the college scene and would actually do the typical American thing, which is great. I went to Wyden University of Restaurant Management. I've done the typical American thing, which I'm not like shooting holes in that. But life is greater. Okay, and this is what probably he learned. And he says greater than, sometimes what society tells us. Life is greater because each and every person is called to do something greater. He learned that as a young adult, as a teenager, and as a college student. And when he finished college, he was out. He says, okay, I'm going to give 2 years of my life with Project Mexico. And we have people banging at our door to come down. And we have to be selective. What capacity we bring them down? Because it's not for everyone. Definitely building homes. We've done this for 1 week. Everyone should do that. Oh, for sure. Now to come down for an intern, we have probably 40, 50 people apply, and we're able to take probably about 20 people every summer. And so it's great. And so from there, some of those interns stay on and volunteer for 2 years. Or you have me, I'm going on 13 years. 13 years. And so it's neat. That's Oliver. He's a great young man. and it's transformational. This is actually me, my family, and my parish before I left. People would say, so you're leaving your parish, you've been there for 10 years, you're going to Tijuana. This was back in 2010, 2011. So is the bishop punishing you? Did you get in trouble or something like that? And you're being like imprisoned in Tijuana? Like, no, 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 no. We're volunteering, okay? We're volunteering to serve the church in this way. And then I would explain to people, well, gosh, that's kind of crazy. And I would say, yeah, but I've read the gospel a few times. The message is kind of crazy. And then like, okay, then you read like the lives of the saints, like Polycarp, Ignatius, you know, surprise, surprise, this is what we've been taught for so long. And so moving down to Tijuana is not that nuts. Thank God, my bishop, the Greek Orthodox bishop in the West Coast, extends his blessing for me to serve. At the time, it was Archbishop Demetrius who allowed me to leave my parish. I'm so grateful for that. Those are my boys when they first came down. My little guys, like, what have we done? What have you done to us? Oh yeah, it was a challenge. Like even thinking about my stomach's kind of turning, but it's been blessing. It's been blessing. My boys have grown up there. Grew up there. This is my my oldest boy graduated from high school. He's now these pictures are a little older now, but you'll yeah they're a little older now, but they've done great. That's my other son who graduated from high school. My third one's about to graduate through God's grace, and this is them pretty much now. Yeah, older. My oldest son is now married. He's and I'm waiting for a grandchild. I always tell him that, but it hasn't happened yet. He's only 22, just turned 23. I'm like, so what? Come on now. But it's been great. It's been life changing. People come down and volunteer. They pray. Prayer is so important. We need prayer, especially pray. I just became the executive director. I'm just like, it's definitely a handful. I need your prayers, and God is good. It's a blessing to serve in this way. Donate. That's a great way to educate people. I tell my my young orphans, hey, you're making money. You can give to the church. They're not always that obedient, but but they hear the message. You can help by giving food. Being a faithful friend. That's basically stewardship for Project Mexico. Ways to learn about us, projectmexico.org. We have a great social media and public relations workers here that really get the word out. You can read my thesis about Project Mexico. It's 62 pages I wrote when I was at St. Vladimir's. And or you could request information too. So that's my spiel. And we're doing all right. I think it was about 30 minutes that we were able to share here. So what I do now is thanks for your time, first of all. Thank you for your sacrifice. But is there any questions or anything like that?
Yeah, if everyone can, you can either put it in the chat or in the Q&A. And while you're coming up with some good questions for Father, I just want to share with you how much I appreciate what you're doing. You're living the dream, brother. How many times I thought, it's to go into the mission field and to live that life, and you're doing it. So
I know. It's interesting.
Glory be to God.
Dream or like a dream. My little Orthodox cross is right here. It's a nightmare at times, man. It's like a night. It's beautiful.
Well, that's definitely anytime you're in the mission field, the first thing you learn is that nothing goes as planned. Yeah. And, just you have to be flexible and ready. In fact, I think that's part of the message that we got when we first got there as a group. First realize that whatever you think is the plan may not end up being what happens. That's like the part of the opening spiel. And so you learn to just kind of roll with it and go with it. And that was a fantastic experience. I wanted to share with you one of my you're right about the confession for young people. They come and they take stock of their lives and they realize something. I think one of the most memorable experiences I ever had as a youth minister was leading an OCF trip and having an incredible, those are usually the 1 week in the spring where you don't build a house, but you finish a house like with a stucco. We actually built one of the buildings on the ranch side at the orphanage. And I will say that leveling the ground and laying that concrete, I've had some hard
Okay.
days of work in my life, but that
Yeah.
probably is the hardest day I ever worked in my whole life. So
Yeah.
for sure. And but after those experiences, having a conversation with a young college student who like has basically totally reassessed their life and their what they've been doing, and you realize like, wow, I'm privileged here to be in the presence of God's grace transforming somebody's life. And so that was absolutely an incredible experience. And I thank Project Mexico for granting me the chance to come as a chaplain too. So it's
Mm.
even, if you're a youth minister, you get a lot from coming to this kind of an event and leading your kids and through this kind of experience. So we have our first question up from
All right.
Kathleen. She's
Can't see it.
asking,
Can you, yeah,
you
can you
see
read
it
it?
in the chat? You want me to read it to you?
Yeah, would you mind?
So Kathleen asks, do you have any advice on encouraging youth to volunteer on mission trips with Project Mexico or teaching them about missions?
Yeah. It's I'll be honest with you, I was like I was 10 years as a parish priest. I'm still a parish priest, by the way. Like even though as the executive director, it's changed a little bit. Uh, and but so 20 years I've had a parish now in the United States, trying to encourage people to come and participate in this. There's definitely a lot of there's a lot of materials. We have quite different materials for just spreading the word, videos, things like that. A great way to do that is, okay, well, concretely, just write Project Mexico, send us materials, uh, and gather a group. Like you just start gather a group. It's like, what does it mean? What does it mean to live the gospel? And hey, this is okay. I'm thinking as I'm speaking. One thing you can do concretely: try to find someone who's done it. Okay, it's like, okay, hey, you didn't like, and then ask them how their experience was. They're like 98% of the time, incredible. But then you get like that 2% is like, I'm never gonna eat beans or rice ever again. Okay, and like, how can they make me live in a tent for a week? I'm like, what are you crazy? I'm sorry, I mean, but like, not to judge anyways, but he'll easily find somebody who loved it. So you can like go to any city pretty easily, quickly, go to email, find somebody, tell them to be part of your presentation. Okay, have some videos going, maybe like a Mexican night. Like if you want to get some people, want to get someone to a meeting, bring food. Okay, that's a great. Everyone knows a youth director. If you don't know that, okay, well, here we go. Youth Director 101. Okay, bring food. You'll definitely get them. Well, that'll be an encourager. Bring somebody who's been there. And also, I do talks all the time. Okay, all the time. And if you ask me, if you kind of get me, if you actually, if you listen, you're going to get me there. I'm so bad. Okay, you're going to get me there. Have me do a presentation. It's like, okay, Father, this is what we're going to do. We'll have it to speak at the church, speak at coffee hour, and then we have speaking to the youth on like a Saturday night. Okay. And maybe and maybe I'm gonna try to have a pass a tray too. I'm like, got my attention. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to pay bills. Okay. I'm passing trays all the time. The budget's significant. You'll get me there. This is like, well, if you do that equation, there's an 85% chance I will come to your church. Okay. Oh yeah. And I'll give the spiel. And that's what I do. I do that. I probably do those like before being the executive director, I was associate director. I do that probably 6 times a year. Yeah. So if you don't go like, yeah, 6 times, I do that 6 times a year. Easy. All right. To churches. And so that's the way to do it too. But if you can't, you put that together, or for some reason I'm booked, which, if you plan ahead, you can get me. Okay. Do it yourself. Find someone there. Okay. That's how I do it. That's my thought. I don't know, Father, if you have any thoughts or any other thoughts, but that's how I do it.
Yeah, we it's probably been about 10 to no, it's probably been about 13 years since I went with a
Okay.
group.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
and but it was very impactful not only on the people on us who went, but on the whole parish. And pretty much, Project Mexico has been a line item in our parish budget for every year. We give something, pretty much out of our humanitarian and missions
Thanks, man.
budget. So, and I'm looking forward to. We're going to be talking about that pretty soon, actually, in our parish for distribution. But
Thanks. We need it.
yeah, I think it's really important. It is a assembly sponsored ministry of the whole
Sure.
church in North America. And if every parish could just do a little something, you guys would be in a lot better position for sure. But
It's all good. God is good, isn't he?
we have another question for you.
Right.
Rebecca asks, while the team goes to work on building the house, can volunteers stay back at the orphanage and do work there? I am a teacher who teaches English as a second language, and that would be more of my forte.
Beautiful. Well, most people build houses because not, and that's just how the kind of program set up. But people do like hang back, for sure. Like it really depends on the person, and also we have a screening process for that because they're orphan boys. We're orphan boys who've been on the streets, really vulnerable, because they are children who are susceptible to abuse. So, okay, stay back. We do our little litmus test. Can we trust this person? Like, we trust people, but well, like, you never know. Like, oh, these guys, oh, they're so cute. And they're little demons. Oh my gosh. I love them. I'm a demon too, by the way. St. Paul. Well, St. Peter was called Satan. All right. So,
If you like to play soccer, prepare to be destroyed. That's for sure.
yeah, once
They're
humility,
merciless.
man. I've been like, oh yeah. So, but there is a part for like some people. It actually is more rare, but oh, it only happens. Okay, I can do this, can do that. We try to make it simple because we get so much going on. And for example, well, I can teach. Like for example, we would because we let's say I can like wouldn't be English because it's only for like I'm gonna my okay my group is coming down. I want to stay back. I know Spanish. That'll be really helpful. I can teach a class to the boys about how to make a prayer room. Okay. Or I could teach a class to the boys, uh, or like I can, do you know something like that? Or like to be kind of neat to them. Or, something really tangible you could do for like an afternoon, or several series. And that has happened. It doesn't happen that much. I'll be honest with you. But we have people who come down, like I just mentioned, we have this person coming down for trying to again come down for 2 months to help us with our need right now. And she's bilingual and she's been down before. Okay, so we know her. We know her. We're gonna just throw her into the system, and we're gonna say good luck. Okay, with our boys. Okay, we know you'll do the best you can. All right, all right. So hopefully that answers your question the best I can.
Probably best to contact you first and see what's needed and what kind of arrangements can be made. Any other questions? Should we talk about the dreaded effects of the pandemic on your ministry and how that's changed things for you over the last year?
Yeah, the pandemic, COVID, the past 2020, 21. Well, like everyone, we had to shut down, even though we were able to have parish, we were able to have services because we're one big family. So we had services that didn't stop. It made it challenging, for sure. Like the rest of the country, the boys were stir crazy, and on the one hand, it it we were blessed because they could at least have 16 acres to play basketball and soccer and have their one another. On the other hand, uh, it was isolating. We probably had 2 or 3 bouts of COVID on the ranch. No one died, uh, but everyone was free. Like I was like semi freaking out. I was like, COVID. You don't know. Like, am I breathing heavy? I don't know. Or am I nervous? And I'm making joking of it, but you don't at the time. You just don't know. And so one person, or some of the boys got it too. Some people had to like be isolated. We worked through that. Um, a lot of tension, like the rest of the world, a lot of tension, how to handle it, wear masks, we don't wear masks, everyone's checking up. Were you in a public area not wearing a mask? And like, so like, and I'm like, and I'm not judging, God forgive me if I judge. Okay. I'm just saying like that. I'm just saying it gets weird, man. It's like, since when do you care if I'm in a public area? Okay. I'm like, can I leave? You know? And so you have to deal with all that. But then like people, and so and then financially we took a beating. Wow. Initially, we took a beating. You know, like on the flip side, now we're doing fine. We're doing fine, but still, we're trying to work through this. It affected a lot. It affected like, yeah, and it affected a lot. But we're on this side of ish. We're still the border's not fully open. We're trying to discern, but it was a tough year actually. One of the toughest years of my life. Yeah, for sure. And I'm not going to get into all the details. But
No, I think we're all there with you,
okay.
especially with the work all of the youth workers do,
Yeah.
not being able to do it in person, being so limited, and what it's just probably, yeah. I think for a lot of us, it's been probably the hardest year of our ministry, and because if it's hard personally, it's like it's your own, like its own self-generated drama, right? It's like, okay, that's just me learning a hard lesson, but this is like the whole world gone mad, and struggling with fear, and it's been hard. It's been hard all around. So I'm glad to hear things are moving, hopefully in the right direction now at Project Mexico, and I imagine it was very difficult. So are there any kind of looking forward then? What is any plans? So you just started as executive director, you said about 5 days ago, or this is your first week.
Yeah,
So now that you're fully ensconced in place and know everything, what's the plan?
what's the plan?
What do we have to
Um,
look forward to? What is your actually? Let me take up the pressure off. What's your hope?
okay. Well, actually, I'll say like initially, let's get the machine rolling. Okay, let's like start building again. Let's get that. We obviously it depends on the borderish right now for the most part. I don't think like because in the government because we have an orphanage. We just thought there's some Protestant groups that already started building a while ago. We got an orphanage on site, and so we have like government regulations, which I am not a big fan of, but I need to know that things are out of my control sometimes. But let's God willing, that'll change by the end of the summer, and we'll start building at least one or two homes, not five. You know, that's our goal of five for the summer. Next year, business as usual, just get the machine going, interns, planning, uh, growth more. And like let's lay like what I want to do. Okay, establish a church in Rosarito, get another priest. I need a missionary priest down here. I need my replacement as the priest. I need so get another missionary priest, establish a church in Rosarito, and on site establish another orphanage for infants. That's totally an doability. Okay, and that's within the 5 year goal. 5 year. That means I'm going to be around. Yeah, 5 year goal. We should be able to do it. Like I looked at. We can put like that's 5 years. We need some other things stabilized, and we have to probably like grow the orphanage to probably like 35. I think that's good. Yeah, and start the infant orphanage. We have the resources to do it. And there's enough push and interest in it. So that's that. Yeah, that's my thoughts. 5 days on the job. If I was boss, hey, I am. What do you know? God, and everything else that goes along with that. And I'm adjusting. It's like I'm just
Be careful
talking
what
and I'm
you ask
laughing.
for.
Exactly.
Okay, Father, we have another question for you.
Okay.
Let's see. This is a tough question. Leslie asks, before I took a team down to PM for the first time, I met with many people who asked, why take our kids to such a dangerous area out of the U.S. and across a border to help people when there are people who need our help right here? I even met with people that would not support our efforts because of this. How do you answer this?
Great question. It's like I haven't heard that before. And I say that lovingly, and I'm quoting a movie. You don't have to say, like, you can put in the chat if you know what movie. You should, all children should know this movie. Okay, but anyways, it's a great quote. I quote, my kids would know it in a second. I quote so many movies, kids' movies, because it's kind of neat. Okay, but I heard this question before. And first of all, don't convince, you're not here to convince anyone that this is the right ministry. This is not a debate. We're not here to debate. No, but there's like, maybe look within ourselves. It's something we struggle for, but we do not uh, convert by convincing. The Lord converts. We are vessels. And this goes directly with this conversation. Okay. We explain to people, okay, it's like if they feel touched, great. If they don't, all right, that's good. There's so many beautiful things to do. And by the way, we are the largest youth short-term mission Orthodox program in the world. Okay. Well, and I just quantified it. It's like we're like the largest. What planet? No. Okay. Okay. We're not the largest planet. We're the largest Orthodox youth short-term mission in the world. Boom. That's it. There's nothing else that even comes close. Okay. No way. Have I done a lot like in Romania? They do something like this that goes into third world conditions. I bet you they don't. I haven't done the research. Maybe like they'll be like, Father, you're wrong. There's another one person who does this. No way. We bring down at our peak about like 4 years ago, 650 youth, one summer. Okay. Wow. We manage them for a week. We do it. Beautiful. Okay. And what does this mean? Okay. Why support this? Because we have the opportunity. This is different from the US. Okay. They're like, okay, maybe the Adirondacks, like things like that, a little more backward. But that's a pocket within a very, very developed country. Mexico, comparatively, is not developed. Yeah, you can find plenty of Starbucks. I know where they all are in Tijuana, okay? There's a Costco, there's a Home Depot, things like that. Mexico is a developing country, a third world country, and if that can be defined easily, the way I'm saying it, for sure, in the way it's used. Gosh, this is the only place in the world. Usually when you have Europe, which is very developed. Then you have those like secondary countries, which would be probably like Serbia, this is like the developing, like Greece, which is challenging, and then you jump over like Turkey, which is getting a little tougher, Pakistan, those are like third world countries. Mexico, we're talking poverty, okay? And also it is the gateway to America. Oh, wow. This is the only place where you have this huge influx of people trying to get to America, and they're stuck. Most of them get stuck. No, but for most, you hear about like hundreds of thousands trying to cross illegally. Then you have millions stuck in Tijuana and throughout the border. That's why we're there. There's a huge need. And the neat thing, we're able to get there too. And let's say someone gets nervous. When they get nervous, they go, oh, I second like it. I'm not making fun of anyone, okay? But like, I second guess I should have sent my child to Mexico. Bring him back. They call my cell phone. I get him across the border within a half an hour. Easy as that, okay? And because the poverty is right there, so close, we have access to it to make a difference. I talk because I live it. I talk because I've often tried to answer this question, and however people digest it, they digest it. Not everyone has to give. There's some great things in the United States. We're focused in America, things like that. But that's how I kind of like I share with people, and I can kind of talk because I live in Tijuana. It's just like I can talk from experience, and they're like, "Ooh, you live in Tijuana?" It's like, you mean? And then it's like, then they always say, "Like, I live in Tijuana." It's like, you live in Tijuana? I was like, "Yeah, I live in Tijuana." But it's beautiful where I'm at. And just so they come down, and people probably another question people are often asked is like, "Well, how about?" Is it dangerous? I'll answer that one. Is it dangerous? And I tell them, Tijuana, beautiful city, great places, great taco places, excellent food. I can go excellent movie theaters. And if you go to the wrong place, oh yeah, it's dangerous. If you stick with Project Mexico and you build a home, you'll be fine. Okay, you'll be fine. And let's say you wander off and get a taco by yourself. You'll be fine, man. It's all good. Like the media is one thing. You don't look for trouble, you're not gonna find it. Okay, and it's a blessed place. It is, and there's a big need, and we do it in such a way that we make sure all our little kind of Orthodox minions who are there to do the Lord's. We're minions of the Lord. Okay, we're the minions. We're His minions. Okay, and okay, these minions who are down there, they like 100 that come down in a week. We make sure that they're in their bubble, as more or less, but still exposed to the pretty intense experience. And we keep them safe through God's grace.
Yeah, you're actually, the ranch is in Rosarito, so it's actually like half an hour south, right? So you're actually kind of in the country, and it's not far from the ocean. It's quite nice, quite picturesque at certain times of the year when the flowers are blooming. It was quite beautiful. And I would say, having been there, is that you don't know what poverty is in the United States until you've gone into, they call it the colonias.
Yeah, Colonia. Yeah.
Colonia, and you see somebody's house is literally two walls, a corrugated metal thing leaning over the side, and that's it. And the bathroom is a shared outhouse for 1,000 people just down the way. I mean, there's nothing like that in our experience right now in the United States. The poorest people in America still have access pretty much anywhere they want to go to running water and electricity if they need it. So yeah, unless you went to the farthest place, maybe. But this is a reality for tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people in Mexico, and it's
millions.
Nothing like anything you'd see in this country. So that in itself is worth the price of admission, so to speak, just to understand what people are facing in other parts of the world that we just assume, what's the matter with them? Why don't they just, solve their own problems? And it's not that simple. It really isn't that simple.
No.
But the other thing I experienced there was, even in spite of what should seem like crushing systemic poverty, the children who would play and ride their bikes around us while we were, building houses, they were still kids. They still enjoyed life. They still were full of smiles. They still were just, living life. And you realize that no matter how much or how little you have, there's still there's a beauty in life, just living and being with others and sharing love and sharing your experiences. And so I'll never forget those kids. They were just so sweet.
Yeah.
And the families, you're building them a home. And they're
fascinating. They're these families who just live in a pit.
Yeah.
They're just like, okay, well, do what you gotta do. Or people complain, gosh, I gotta take a cold shower for 6 days. And they're like, I know it's extreme, but everyone you're building for, they're lucky if they have running water.
Yeah.
And none of them have hot water.
Nope.
No way. So it's 6 days, and I'm sorry for the inconvenience, and it's rough. I don't comparatively probably rougher maybe than a certain experience, but cold water is probably actually good for your immune system, they say. So you might even get healthy.
Yeah. Well, Father, I think that's it for tonight. We're at our time, and I thank you very much for giving time. And I hope this has awakened some excitement and some fascination for our youth workers to get involved, and for a new generation of young people to find out about it and participate in it, because it's such a vital and important ministry. And I wish for you much success and many years in the service now as executive director. And I'm sure it's a heavy burden, It's such a unique ministry. Very few people can understand what it must be like, but know that you are in our prayers from all the Orthodox youth workers in North America. So we thank
Okay.
you.
Well, thank you. Okay. For your prayers, they're definitely needed, no matter where you are. And I'm glad you organized this. And hopefully, we'll see you in Mexico. I'll buy you a taco.
I'm up for it. I'm down.
Okay, great. All right. Thanks.
God bless you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Hope you
Okay.
enjoyed it.
Okay, great.